Next, we're talking about jigs. Colors, actions, which ones do you throw, which ones do you throw in the trash? Let's get into it. First things first, I want to get out of the way. Color does not matter at all whatsoever, 0%. Color does not matter. The only reason color would remotely matter is if you're fishing for bluefin and they're super keyed in on like small anchovies or something. Then in that case, I probably wouldn't throw a bright red jig into the foam. So a really big thing for me when I'm fishing is feeling connected to the lure. As I'm swimming it, I want to make sure I can feel it doing the dips and the whips, and each handle crank, I can feel the boom, 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 boom of the jig kicking. And that way I know there's no eelgrass on it, there's no kelp, there's no any of that BS on there, and the jig is dancing right. One thing I look for when I'm picking a jig is a jig with a snub nose like that, because it almost acts as a little bit of a crankbait and really pushes some water and lets me feel that jig moving as I'm working the bait. Another thing that snub nose does is really keep the jig down and in the water. One of the most annoying things ever is casting into a spot of boiling fish and your jig skipping on top of the water while you're trying to get it to swim and get bit. It'll drive you insane because they're right there next to your bait and you know you're gonna get bit if you can just get it to swim. But as soon as you start to move your lure, it just wants to skip on top of the water. Another thing you wanna look for when you're picking a jig is offset hips. I know people say it all the time, but you're like, what does that even mean? If you look at the surface iron, this and this, these most outer corners are the hips. You don't want them to be perfectly in line with each other. See how this one's a little bit higher than this one? That's what's gonna make it have either a left kick or a right kick. Every jig is gonna swim straight like this, and then every now and then it'll hit the right amount of water and it'll kick way out to the side. That's what triggers those bites. So as you're fishing it, it's swimming, and for whatever reason, it hits the right amount of water and it kicks way out to one side, and then it gets back on track, and then it kicks way out to this side, and then it gets back on track. And every time it kicks out like that, if there's a fish tracking it, watching what it's doing, as soon as it kicks out, they're gonna say, oh, it's splitting off to the side, now's my shot, and it's gonna eat it. So you wanna make sure those hips are offline so you have an irregular kick. A lot of jigs that are hanging in tackle shops are mass produced, and that's why they're like 15 bucks. If you grab them and spin them around like this, and it doesn't get caught up, it's a good jig. It'll probably swim nice. Personally now, I really only fish CNC jigs because you can pretty much guarantee they're all gonna be the same and they're all gonna swim the same. So CNC is the way for me, but they are a lot more expensive, and I know that people work hard for their money. And some people aren't trying to spend $40, $50, $60 on a jig. So that's a quick test. If you do this and it's nice and smooth, if it's like hitting and bouncing around, probably not a good jig, probably not gonna swim very well. Another super small detail you can look for is this top ring will be offset on a jig that's gonna swim good. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's less wall on this side than there is this side. That hole is slightly off-centered, favoring my right side here. And again, that's gonna create a wide kick. Every time it catches that right amount of water, it's gonna kick way out to the side. That's pretty much all I look for when I go to pick a jig. As long as it's not skipping on the surface and it has an occasional random wide kick, I think it's a good swimming jig. There's a lot of debate about what a good swimming jig is and what isn't. Really, you just don't want it like spinning in circles as it comes back to you. You want it to kick randomly side to side, and you don't want it to skip on top of the water. Other than that, you're pretty much in good shape. When you buy a new jig, you have to really go out and test it on the water. A lot of jigs really only perform on a super fast wind, and some jigs only perform on a slower, more moderate cadence. So you really just have to go out on the water, see what they do at different retrieve speeds, and adjust from there. And again, color almost never matters. 9 times out of 10, lures are painted and designed for the fisherman. So get some baitfish colors and get some crab and brown colors, and you're pretty much set.